Good morning, everyone. We're absolutely delighted to start our International Fraud Awareness Week Day 1 interview with our very own Seamus Quinn of CyberContego here in Roscommon.
Thanks for having us, Bernie. Great to be here again.
Great. It's great to have you back. Seamus is a cybersecurity expert, and we're delighted to have the chats here with him this morning. Hopefully that our followers and members will get a little bit of education as to how to protect yourself from some of the common frauds that's out there today. So Seamus, would you like to tell us about, I suppose, one of the main fraud areas that you're seeing coming up?
Yeah, I suppose one of the areas that's very relevant, particularly in the last couple of months, is a new kind of phishing campaign, which is fake emails. Essentially, they've been around for generations. Nothing new with them, but a new variant as such called ClickFix. So it will typically be seen in pop-up ads, so maybe on Facebook or Instagram or things like that, and it'll be offering you help. You know, have you a slow PC? Click here, we can help. But essentially, what that is it's allowing the hackers get access to your computer or your laptop, and you know, if it's free, you know, it's basically there to encrypt the data on your machine. So, and will be very sneaky. All you need to do is click, and the damage can be done very quickly. And
that's very interesting what you're saying there, Seamus. It could disguise itself as a pop-up. So it's not even a service that you're looking for. It's something that's just coming up in your feed. Yeah, to be on your socials or on your email.
Or if you are searching for my PC, my computer is slow, you may actually get a targeted ad. Even so, you may actually be looking for the service. So again, just be very wary of who you're purchasing that sort of service off. And anything generally looking to install software, get access to your machine, or for you to run commands on your machine, it's an absolute no-no from the start.
Oh, okay. And is there any measures, Seamus, when you're talking about that, when a person is looking at a website wanting to know whether it's legitimate or not, is there any things that you would suggest that we should look for? Yeah,
a couple of obvious things would be the name of the website and to interrogate that closely as well. So if you're on Facebook, you know, or Instagram, look for the spelling in the web browser to make sure that it's absolutely correct. Look for the lock symbol, the little green symbol in the top left, to ensure that it has SSL or that it's a secure website. Sometimes hackers will use lookalike domains, so they look very like a real domain name, so you can wind up very quickly on a fraudulent website in that way. So there are two quick things you can do to verify. And
it could actually only be a number or a letter.
Yeah, there's some very fancy techniques that the hackers can use to do that. The one recently with Microsoft where they substituted an R and an N instead of the M for Microsoft. So at a glance, it actually looked like Microsoft.com, but it was actually rnicrosoft.com was the actual domain name. So it can be very difficult to spot, so you do need to look at them closely.
And it's very hard for the ordinary person to, even people that are, you know, working in, I suppose, professional roles and that, it's even hard for them to spot it unless they're, you know, cyber experts.
Yeah, unfortunately, the stuff that comes in, that I an email myself this morning where I had to do a double take on it. It was fake, but it took me a good 2 minutes of interrogating it to go, yeah, that's definitely fake. But it had bypassed, you know, all systems and arrived in my inbox. So you do need to spend time looking at it. And unfortunately, the rule is trust but verify. You know, if you can trust it, but verify. Absolutely, make sure it is sending you where you expect it to go.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's very good advice. I suppose you just touched on and you mentioned there the phishing emails. We hear a lot now about smishing as well. Would you tell us a little bit about that and what the difference is?
Yeah, so smishing is essentially the text message version of a phishing email. Phishing is via email, phishing with a PH. So smishing is the text message version. That's very common, has been around for years. Very easy for hackers to send out wholesale smishing emails as well. So they'll typically follow trends. So around this time of year, it can be delivery companies like Beyond Post or DPD, fake, obviously. But the intention is, you know, you might be expecting a parcel, so you might be more inclined to click on the link in the email. Very difficult to stop, technically, from being received on your phone. So there isn't a lot that can be done to protect against them. But obviously, the advice is, if, you know, one, were you expecting a parcel from DPD, for argument's sake? If you suddenly get a text message from them, that might be the case. You may well have been. But just verify where the link is going to, and always be wary of it looking for additional information. You know, a genuine text message to notify you about a parcel be delivered is never going to ask you to confirm a username, a password. It's never going to look for additional information. Things like the revenue ones, after Brexit, they were quite common. You know, you have a parcel stuck with revenue, you have to pay €6. Again, they were looking for your bank account details.
In your opinion, Seamus, do you think a person's phone number has been compromised or email address, or would you think it's just that they're phishing, they're just trying lots of numbers?
Yeah, it's wholesale. So it's highly unlikely that your number has been compromised, but unfortunately our mobile phone numbers and our even our landline phone numbers are very easy information to scrape together. You can literally buy tens of millions of them on the dark web for a couple of dollars. So it's a really easy way, and the concept for the hackers is the more they send out, the higher likelihood is they will trick people, and even if it's only a tiny percentage. But if you've sent out 10 million and only 0.1% of that falls for it, I won't try and do the maths live, but you know what I mean.
Okay, no, that's very interesting as well. They've just got so very sophisticated.
Correct, yeah.
And good at it, you know, and I suppose people are busy and they're just falling for these scams.
And that's what they rely on. Any smishing message or phishing messages, that matter, will always engender a sense of urgency. Click here, act fast, do it now. You know, you have 24 hours to pay a fine. It will always create that sense of urgency to make you go, oh, this is actually important, and if I don't do it, you know, I'll be locked out of the account, or the parcel won't be delivered, or whatever.
What we need to do is what you just said there, think and
verify. Think before you click. That's the golden rule for any of these things, whether you're clicking with your thumb or with your mouse, it doesn't matter. Think before you click.
Very good. You mentioned there the raft of text messages that people are getting, especially now as we're coming up to Black Friday and Cyber Monday and all that. And another one I heard recently there was about from Netflix, top up your account, you know, the e-flow, all of those. What can a person do to verify? Like, they might be a Netflix customer, but maybe they've never got a text message from Netflix before. What do you suggest? What can people do to...
So the first thing, are you a customer? So Netflix is a very common one. Most people probably are Netflix customers, so the high chance that you do have the account. So ignore the message and go directly to Netflix. Go to their website, log into your account there and verify any details that need to be verified there. Again, Netflix are highly unlikely to ask you to verify in that manner, but there's always a possibility. But if you're unsure, don't engage with the text message. Go and log into your account, log in securely into your Netflix account in this example, and verify that you know the message is real. Similarly, you know, if you got a text message from a bank or credit card saying there was an unusual transaction, just take out your bank card, look at the phone number and call the bank, you know, and contact them directly.
And I suppose going back to the Netflix situation again, if you are a customer of Netflix and you're paying by direct debit every month, you're not really going to be asked to top up your account.
No,
of course
not.
That would be only for people operating a top-up card.
Yeah, I can't even, I'm not even familiar with the Netflix top-up option, but I mean, I presume there's a payment option that is there. I would have always assumed it's linked to a credit card. But again, the hackers are always coming up with new and sophisticated ways, and using a popular brand name like Netflix, you know, is going to get more attention because everybody uses Netflix.
Okay. So Seamus, if a member or a follower actually has a gut instinct or feels or has some evidence that their data has been compromised, what do you suggest they do? What's the first thing that they can do?
So it depends on which account has been compromised. But if we stay on the Netflix one, for example, you could log into your Netflix account. It will tell you in the settings where you're logged in. So if you see a login coming from California, you're going to know that's not you. So there'll be a button in there that will say log me out of all accounts, for instance. If it was your Gmail account or your Facebook account, there will be similar things. So again, log in the correct way into that. Go on to the genuine website and look in your settings. It varies from provider to provider, but it'll be settings and security or something along those lines where you can see where you're logged in. And if you see it's incorrect, you'll know.
Now, Seamus, I'm going to throw a cat among the pigeons. I know, take Netflix for instance, I could be logged in here in Roscommon and I'll actually get an email notification telling me that I'm logged in Dublin or Cork, but I'm not actually logged in. There's only one person logged in on my account and I'm in Roscommon. Like, that obviously is common.
Yes, so IP addresses, how Netflix will determine that are geolocated to a country. So in smaller countries like Ireland, it's not going to be completely accurate to a town. It certainly won't be accurate to a village, but it will be accurate to something like Dublin, Galway, things like that. There are other ways that you can verify an IP address more precisely, but they're kind of round ideas. But if you're seeing you're logged in America or England or France or whatever, it's going to be very obvious. So geolocations work better in larger countries where there's more population in a certain area.
Very good. So that's my lesson here live now at the moment, because I actually have had that situation. Very good. One, so really check the settings, see where you're logged in.
See where you're logged in, or are you logged in multiple times? You know, for instance, that might be more common on if your Facebook account or your Instagram account, for instance, was breached and you're logged in. Typically, that login is going to come from a country you're definitely not currently in. So it will be very obvious, and there'll always be a button to say log me out everywhere. You know.
Okay, and then it's a case of log back in and maybe password.
Change your password, update your two-factor authentication, which you should have turned on for those accounts anyway. The second code that you need to give it on your phone when you log in, it's a really bulletproof way of stopping hackers getting into your account. So obviously reset your password, and obviously we can probably talk a bit about passwords as well, I'm sure, in a minute. So I'm talking about passwords.
And the longer and more, obscure it is, the happier you are.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and the challenge with that is we're human, we're lazy, and we'll take the same password password we use, and we'll reuse the same password on our Netflix, on our Gmail, and every other account.
And what's the risk with that then, Seamus?
So the risk with that is one password becomes compromised. It's very easy for the hackers to try it everywhere else and use it, and even a slight variation on that. So if you think, I'm clever, I'll use an exclamation mark at this one. But if the rest of the password is the same, that can be compromised by a technique called brute force in a matter of seconds. Like, it doesn't even take hours.
Okay.
Yeah. So the advice with passwords, and again, it's keep them unique, keep them strong. And again, people will struggle with remembering passwords. So a couple of ways to deal with that is use passphrases, which is a memorable phrase, something that you can say in your head. When I use an example, and I'd like to point out, this is not my passphrase, but my dog Harvey loves to go for walks. So I can say that sentence in my head. That's very personal to me. I know that, and I can take, the first letter of each of those words out of that, stick a number on the end of it and an exclamation mark, and all of a sudden you've got a very strong passphrase that's very personal to you. It's long, it's complicated, nobody's going to be able to guess it about you, but it means that you will be able to easily remember it when you need it.
That's excellent. That's a really good point. Thanks for that, Seamus.
No problem.
I suppose just as we think about wrapping up the conversation, and we could probably go on for another hour talking about all the different mechanisms that could be put in place to try and, what's your top bits of advice for our followers and members in staying safe online?
Yeah, I think two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication, so having a code generated by your phone when you're logging into your Gmail, your Instagram, all accounts will support it. Turn it on. It's a really simple and effective way to stop hackers. Even if your password is compromised, you'll still need that code or token from your phone. Never share that token. It's only ever for you. You will never be asked for it by your bank, your credit union. Doesn't matter. Gmail, Instagram, Netflix, none of them will ever ask you for it. They will only ask you for a couple of digits of it as you're logging into the service. So it's important to you never share those. Password managers, another very useful piece of software. You can, a couple of euros a month will get you a subscription to a password manager. You can store all your passwords in there, and you create that really long, complicated passphrase that I talked about. One that's easy for you to remember.
And
use that
in there.
And use that to log into your password manager. So couple of euros a month will get you a subscription for home use for one of those.
Okay, very good.
And trust but verify. You can trust it, but verify it. Final words, absolutely. And think before you click. That's the golden rule.
Okay. Seamus, thank you so much for coming into us this morning. I think that was a cracker of an interview just for our starting off our International Fraud Awareness Week campaign. And thank you very much for coming into us.
No problem. Thanks, Bernie. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.